What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. We got Tim back from camp practice in Green Bay. Emilio's on assignment at Taco Bell. He'll be in here in a minute. Ready to talk some Packers this evening. Gents, how we doing today?
Great, man. Got a little tan. Got a little late August tan going. Good.
There
Happy
he
to be
is.
back.
There he is.
Tim Cruz is looking hot, ready to trot.
Right.
Tell you what.
I didn't meet your boy Brenton Cox. Sorry, Jacob. I wasn't.
Man.
He was a little busy. He had things to do. So
I'll tell you who else is busy. That's the folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source. Got offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to their website, theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Go ahead, check out the website. Tell them that the redneck from Packers Total Access sent you over, all right? We would greatly appreciate it. Again, Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. We appreciate their support of the show. Man, we got a bunch to talk about, guys. A bunch to talk about. I want to lead off a little, a little light humor here, if it's all right with you guys. First of all, Emilio, how are you, sir? We see you in the house now. I think you're muted, sir. Here, let me help you out there. Try it again. Nope, try it again.
No comprende. Here we go.
Yeah, glad to be here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, hey, you made it in a little late, but it's all right, man. No big deal.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Had to start the lawn.
Sit your butt outside.
Okay, I'll see that.
See you later.
Go ahead, Emilio. Go ahead. Do you have a busy day, buddy?
Yeah. Busy day always. But I needed a new battery in the truck and had a flat on the sulky, so busy day.
Bro, we had a flat on our Velke. It literally, we have this one stop where there's 3 yards in one stop. Takes us, I don't know, about an hour, 10 minutes, something like that. And halfway through the second yard, I look across the property. I'm like, where's Eric at? He's walking behind that thing. He got the Velke chained up. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, we had to actually work that day. That sucked. Just like this show, that sucked. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah. Anyway, it's still my fall now, though.
And I said, I need this fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's feeling like fall down here now, isn't it, though, man? Less humidity. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's good in there.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. I know you're a little bit warmer down there around the Knoxville area than we are up here in Northeast Tennessee, but it's getting there, man. It's getting nice for sure. I want to give a shout out to the chat real quick, man. It was absolutely lit up when we hopped in here. Omer in the house. We got United Bates, Dennis Shook, everybody following in. Good to see everyone. Hope y'all had an awesome day. M. Smitty in the house. Michael Redden, Greg in the house. Sorry if I've missed someone. Mr. Larry in here. Good to see you, buddy. Like I said, Bates, Mike Berry, the whole crew. Andy APAC, Blake B. Too many to mention, man. You guys are awesome. Dane, Fred, Mr. Goat, Josh. Appreciate y'all hopping in here. Let's see. Eric Sutherland kicks it off. Says, my boy Evan Williams with another pick today. Yes, sir. We are going to hit on that shortly. We're actually going to hear a little bit from him, too. I think Matt Schneidman or Ryan Woods, someone tweeted out a video at his locker just to kind of get his statement. He just continues to shine. We're going to dive into it here shortly. Blake B says, team looked good today, but who knows how vanilla Baltimore was playing. Very good point, Blake. I know this. I'd much rather them look the way they did today than they did in Denver. What about you, Tim? You were there, boots on the ground, my man.
Let me tell you, it looked good out there today. Ray Nitschke Field. I took a shot today. It was crowded. Check out that background. Beautiful day at practice. The stands were jam-packed. And yeah, from the reactions, we had a good practice today. I don't think that's to say that we dominated the Ravens. I'm just saying I think both teams had a really good tune-up here going into week one. This is what you want the end of the preseason to be like. Get one last tune-up, get out there, hit your best foot forward for week one. And I think both teams accomplished that today. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know this. It's always a nice pick when you can get Old Glory in the picture, too.
I was going to say, that thing's flying, man. It must have been a nice breeze there out on the field.
Yeah, it took a couple different shots. I was trying to catch the wind. It's tough, but I thought that was like the one spot there was a little bit of shade, so I was standing there. Figured I'd take a picture.
Shout out to everyone who has served or continues to serve our military. no matter what the branch is. We appreciate y'all putting your lives on the line every day to give us the right to sit in here and produce such a crappy show. And we can't thank y'all enough. Seriously, same thing out there to all the men and women in law enforcement and, fire departments, everybody who's serving our community, man. You guys are, we talk about these players like they're heroes. You guys and gals are the real heroes. So every time I see that flag, man, it's hard not to get teared up because that's the first thing I think of is every human being, whether they're in the line of fire or not. In some cases, they're sacrificing portions of their life with their family to be out there to make sure that we got safe communities and everybody just taking care of one another, man. You can't say it enough. So
well said, Clayton. Well said.
All right. Well, let's start it off a little lighthearted here, okay? Or a little light humor, I should say. So one show that's growing on me, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Comes on first thing in the morning over, I think it's ESPN, either ESPN Madison or Milwaukee, maybe both. But you can find them on YouTube. They've also got a podcast. But Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, Jen Latta does a lot of work with College Game Day. She's one of 3 hosts here. You got Gabe Knotts, who does an excellent job as well. And then, of course, you got Mark Chmura, the former Green Bay Packers tight end from the 90s, Super Bowl champion, all that good stuff. So he tells a quick story on one of my favorite Packers of all time, Gilbert Brown. And they got talking about this through Andy Reid, which they were talking about. You see Andy Reid, and he's all, Mr. Professional. And it sounded like Andy Reid was just one of the biggest pranksters in the entire organization when he was the tight ends coach, I believe it was, here in Green Bay. But check out this story from Mark Chmura and Gilbert Brown. This is hilarious.
Snack. That's Andy to a T. Josh, you know that story?
No.
All right. So room service shuts off at 8:30 on a Saturday night. Right?
Okay.
Because then we have bed check and all that. Well, it turns out Andy had bed check at 10 o'clock. So he's in the elevator, and the room service guy has 2 cheeseburgers, a vanilla shake, cheesecake, and an order of fries. And Andy's like, "Where are you going?" Sir's like, "Let me check the room. It's room 738. Mr. Brown." So Andy says, "Okay, give me that thing." Andy ate every piece of it. Made the guy deliver the empty tray to his room, and Gilbert had to still pay for it. But Gilbert didn't say a thing because he knew he was busted. A night before a game. After we just had snack.
I was going to say, that is so much food.
Yeah.
It sounds like a belly.
I remember following. Hold on.
Yeah, I do.
Listen to this. Gary Brown. Gary Brown was a backup O-line for us probably in 95. This might be the Super Bowl year. And I was behind him at Taco Bell. And they just kept unloading bags. So I followed him. I was going PI on him. So I sat there, and this is 1995.
Okay.
I sat there in the car, watched him eat it. He went and threw the bag in the trash. I went through the bag to get the receipt because I had to know how much he spent. $48.
95 was.
In the 90s?
In 1995?
I'm like, dude, how can you eat so much food?
$48?
Holy smokes.
I was blown away.
How many things on a McDonald's menu back then cost more
No,
than $5?
it was Taco Bell.
Taco Bell,
So
sorry.
it was burritos, it was tacos, it was
Taco
Mexican
Bell,
pizza.
Like, Taco Bell, especially in the 90s. Like, Taco Bell was even cheaper than
I think
Burger King, McDonald's, all of
I couldn't eat
$48 is getting you a franchise at Taco Bell in the 90s.
Yes.
I couldn't eat $48 Taco Bell today with prices very much more expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
No.
It's not a lot of food.
No.
Great story. I was blown away. $48.
I love how you followed it
Yeah.
and then went through the trash to see what the receipt was.
Yeah.
Unbelievable from the big guy. Guys, I'm telling
I bet that was a awesome crew right there, man. Could you imagine being in that locker room and those road trips, especially? How about Andy Reid stealing the dude's food?
That's
Extra hilarious.
So it's just like the commercial, right?
Yeah.
Let me get some of them nuggies.
Exactly right. I just thought that was cool, man. And I don't know. I don't know how other people feel, but Yeah, surprised Andy didn't ask for some chicken nuggets, Blake B says. I don't know how anybody else feels, but when a former player, I don't care if they played one quarter in the NFL, when they open their mouth, I'm zipping it. I want to hear everything they got to say, man, whether it's those kind of stories or X's and O's or whatever. I truly don't understand the podcasters that think, well, just because you're a former player doesn't mean you know everything. Whatever. He knows more than you, you know. But Humorous is really growing on me on that radio show. It's pretty cool. So, anyways, let's jump into. Man, we got a lot marked here. We got the chat is crazy.
They're going nuts, man.
Let's hit it. Drew D says we'll get to see you guys laughing at the Bears and Caleb Williams live. So I'm assuming they're playing here in a second.
I forgot. Right? Yeah, they're about to snap at 7:20. I don't know if the starters are playing, but that'd be cool.
Let me be all unprofessional and get it cranked up on the old telly right here. You know what I'm saying?
Let's do it.
And, you know, that was a big talking point last week, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on other players that don't play for Green Bay, but everybody was just blowing up on Twitter like, Caleb Williams looks unbelievable. And I went and looked at, you know, immediately I'm on the road. I looked at the box score. I'm like, he was like 6 for 13. What the hell are they talking about? And then you see him to throw across body. It's like, oh, yeah, he can do that. And that's amazing. But it's like, what else happened? Michael Lombardi pointed out, first 3 drives, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out against the backups for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's like, why are we not mentioning that? What is going on right now? Right?
The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck.
So true. I had to play it twice.
Put it on loop, baby. So, and listen, I think Caleb Williams has a shot to be a great quarterback, but let's if you see it, you got to say it. Let's don't try to make up these war stories like he's out there. You know what I mean? And then after the game, of course, in Hard Knocks, they said the comms went out the first 2 drives. So that was the problem. It's like, okay, we're already making excuses. Got it. Makes sense. Okay. So anyway, we'll turn it on in the background here for sure. Omer says Lamar was running for his life all day, and our quarterbacks never got a touch.
Careful, you can't word it like that, right, Clayton? You're going to get called out online if you word it like that.
See Matt Schneidman and old boy
That's
going at it?
Hyperbolic.
Oh, my God, it's hilarious. So for those of you who don't know, Matt Schneidman tweeted it very much like Omer just said it, right? And evidently one of the beat writers for the Baltimore Ravens went at Matt Schneidman and basically said, you know, in a nutshell, you guys are just talking about all the positive stuff for the Packers is essentially what he said. Now, I'm pretty sure he came to his senses because he ended up deleting that tweet. But before he did, Matt Schneidman was able to quote tweet it and put that sucker on blast. But just while
Sit your butt outside.
we were worried about fights today, and the only fights we got is between beat reporters. Which I think they should put the gloves on. Put the gloves on, charge $10 a head. You know what I mean, Emilio?
Yeah,
Put them out
there
there.
you go.
Put them out there on Oneida Street. Shut it down. Roll out some beer and let them duke it out, man. I'd pay to see that. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, Lamar was running for his life, no doubt about it. AFAM in the chat says, who put the super glue on Lamar's bike pedal? Did y'all see that where he about took a spill?
Tim, did you get to see that live or no?
No, I wasn't over there. I was actually directly across Oneida Street. He walked past us just after that. We actually saw Lamar walk into practice this morning. It's kind of cool. But no, you know what? I will say this in his defense. It is extremely difficult to pedal a bike with cleats on. You know, like your cleats kind of get locked into that pedal. So, and I think he was trying to avoid hitting
dodging little kids. Yeah.
Is
that that's what you were talking about on the podcast earlier?
You never see a Packer do that though. You know, the Packers understand how this works. So, chill. You know, you got to give Lamar a little latitude. You know, it's his first time. So,
yeah, that's what we were talking about, Emilio. He kind of had a little wobble on the bike, and I wasn't making fun of Lamar. I was just like, oh boy, I bet they were scared to death. Like, can you imagine? There's never another situation where Lamar Jackson's going to be riding a bike pretty much in season, right?
Right.
And they go to a preseason practice.
You can't pull a Joe Biden.
He takes a spill on a bike and tears an Achilles or something. Could you imagine? Oh my God. So,
it would probably sound like
pressure.
That's what I said. You can't pull a Joe Biden. Remember when he came up talking to the press and he just came to a stop and slowly tipped over.
He just, I mean, literally, complete stop and go. I mean, it happens to me, but I'm top heavy, man. I got this tadpole head. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, so we seen the Lamar slip there. Let's see. Drew D says, did you guys see the Eagles traded for wide receiver Jahan Dotson today. Thought it was interesting given they are our week 1 opponent. Yeah, that is interesting, Drew.
Dude, they got a stacked wide receiver room now.
Yeah.
It's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson.
Wasn't he on the Commanders?
He was on the Commanders.
Good for him getting out of that place, right?
Well, I would have thought. I was surprised by that because they got Jaden now and they got Terry McLaurin. So they had a 2-headed monster, and now they've got not that great. It's weird.
Yeah. Looks like everybody, Omer, Fred McFarley, Greg Rice, everybody's Gravedigger fans for sure, man. He was something else for sure. Carly Ray in the chat says, Clayton, can you mention that we have one more spot open on the Patreon Fantasy League? We just did, Carly. How about that?
You heard it from a fan right here.
So anyone who's interested in joining our fantasy league, we got one more spot left. And I'm going to say this. If nobody snatches it up, your boy's going to jump in there, and I'm going to get somebody to manage it for me, all right? So I'd rather a fan take it. Exactly. I'd rather a fan jump in there and take it, but you just got to be a member of one of the 3 tiers in Patreon. And then, of course, when you enter the fantasy league, there's an entry fee, but there's pretty big payouts. I was looking at those payouts like, holy cow, that's cool. So it's just exclusive to our Patreon members for sure. So there you go. Might talk Jacob into joining too if nobody gets. I don't know. That might be my shadow GM there, and we'll see. Knucklehead Paul in the chat said the Gilbert Burger was fire at Burger King. Man, that thing's legendary. Did anybody else ever have one of those?
What's legendary is the poster. Do you guys remember the poster?
Yeah.
With Gilbert holding it. You can actually find them. You can dig through online. Somebody's probably selling them for a ridiculously inflated price now if they're out there. But
my dad went to the Burger King in Hudson, Wisconsin. As some of you know, that's where I live. I'm right on the border. I could throw a football if I was more like Uncle Rico, right across the river to Minnesota. But we have a Burger King. My dad went there, asked for the Gilbert Burger, and they said that it was out of their market and that they wouldn't honor it. And my dad sat there until they made a Gilbert Burger for us. And then we cut it into so me and my brother and him could eat it. And my brother, I remember, cried because there's no way you can eat. His little hands couldn't do it. So it just fell all over me, starts crying. It was hilarious.
Somebody right now is listening to the podcast. And would y'all please talk about the Packers, for God's sake?
This is the Packers.
Talk about something important. So, all right, let's jump into it from today. First things first, I want to give a shout out to Rob Westerman. Friend of the program here, awesome dude over at GBP Daily. Really cool picture they got sent out here of Jordan Love high-fiving his daughter. Obviously, Rob holding his little girl there. It's just so cool, man. I don't know how anyone could root for another team in the National Football League. Just the Green Bay Packers. Just unbelievable. I may be a little biased, I understand, but shout out to Rob. That's an awesome picture there, man, for sure. So, Jordan, let's lead off with Jordan Love today. Ryan Wood tweeted this out, said Jordan Love today versus the Ravens, 18 of 30, 216 yards, 4 red zone touchdowns, only 1 interception. Jordan Love last week versus the Broncos was 15 of 26 for 102, 1 red zone touchdown and an interception. Good bounce back for QB1. I'm really, really excited. They actually talked with Jordan after the practice, and everybody's trying to get a hint, are you going to play or not in the upcoming preseason game? Here is what Jordan had to say earlier. Just a quick clip. See if we can catch anything as far as maybe a tip on whether or not they may or may not be playing the starters.
Having the 2 joint practices helped a lot just to be able to see different defenses. And then, like I said, going against our defense all camp, we got a really good defense, so it helped a lot. But I definitely think I like where we're at offensively, and I think we're ready to go get the season started.
Does that mean no preseason snaps Saturday?
I don't know. We'll see. Matt hasn't decided yet on that one, but we'll see.
All right, so Matt says still undecided. Shout out to Ryan Wood @by Ryan Wood on Twitter for sharing that video. How are we feeling now after this practice, guys? Would you guys rather them play Jordan Love or sit him for the preseason game coming up Saturday at noon?
I will be there, so I say play him.
Play them all 4 quarters.
Honestly, though, I don't think the same approach or taking the same approach they took in week 1 would be a bad look. He can go out and play a series maybe. You don't want to get stagnant. I'm sure these guys are all in rhythm and everything. It would be nice just for one last little tune-up to put the ones out there, at least a series or 2, that at the most. I'm not saying let them play a whole half or anything, but I think it wouldn't hurt. I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Be fine with the drive.
What's that?
I'd be fine with a drive. I mean, if I just don't want him to go in ice cold. Like we're literally traveling to another like country. You know what I mean? Like we're traveling to South America basically. So
down there next to the ice wall.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think that I wouldn't be opposed to him running a drive or two. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great point, man. I mean, think about it, Jacob. That's kind of tough, right? To not play ball for what? 4 weeks. It would be 4 weeks, right? Am I thinking right? Because he played preseason week 1. He didn't play last week. He doesn't play this week, and then he doesn't play the bye week either, right? So 4 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, that's crazy. So I was gonna say that I'd play a series or two just because from the time of the end of the game to the start of the Eagles game would be too long, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Just because you've built up, like you said, that the momentum, some of the chemistry. It seems like Love has really jumped up his game in the fact that it takes him less time to get warmed up. Like last season, it seemed it took him about 2 quarters before we really started seeing good, decisions and really fluidity and that sort of stuff. Whereas all of a sudden now, recently, it seems like it takes him like a series and all of a sudden maybe a couple plays and he's dialed in. So I don't want to lose that momentum. I'd play him a series. If it goes real well, pull him maybe 2 tops. And then, I think would be good.
Good stuff. Well, I'll tell you this, man, whether he plays or not, PFF, the projections for Jordan Love looking pretty good. It says, this is at PFF, says, will Jordan Love lead the Packers to the NFC North crown? 2024 projections, it says 384 completions, 4,658 total yards with 31 touchdowns. And I thought it was cool that they tweeted this image out right after they tweeted out C.J. Stroud, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it kind of feels like Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, they're obviously going to play in October. That's going to be the winter warning game where everybody's supposed to wear all whites. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Kind of seems like they're linking those 2 young quarterbacks together, like, hey, these are 2 potential faces of the league, which is exciting as a Packer fan and as a Texan fan. But look at these projections: 384 completions, 4,658 total yards, 31 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud's projections, 352 completions, only 4,556 total yards with only 29 touchdowns. So according to PFF, they kind of feel like Jordan Love is going to have a better year, or at least projected to have a better year than C.J. Stroud. I know there are some people hearing my redneck voice right now saying, Clayton, this don't make a hill of beans. I completely agree. But it's fun to see 2 quarterbacks get compared that close together here, when we're getting ready to kick off week 1 here in roughly, I don't even know what it is. We got cut downs on Tuesday, Wednesday. So, I mean, it's right around the corner. When is it? It's not next Friday, but the following Friday, right?
Friday, September 6th.
Oh, man. Wow.
September 6th. The real question is, what are your guys' projections for Jordan Love? Looking at PFF's numbers here.
When I look at
I'll tell you what, I think Jay Money's throwing 40 more touchdowns.
40 more?
40 or more.
70
40 or more, which is a lot more than 31. And I'd be willing to bet you he teeters closer to 400 completions too with this receiver core.
The only thing that makes me hesitant, Tim, is typically once they get a year of film on a quarterback, there's a step back just a touch. You know what I'm saying? Now, they kind of got the first half of film on him, first half of the season film on him. Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, and Jordan Love adjusted. And it skyrocketed, right?
Yeah.
You go
One of the
based
things
on
I love the most about Matt LaFleur is that he's willing to do that. He adjusts as soon as he gets stale or he feels like he's getting complacent, whether it's play calling or game planning, anything, we switch it up. And that was one thing I think that ultimately pushed McCarthy out of town was he was a little less willing to do that towards the end there. And he kind of stuck with the same old same and it got predictable. I totally agree. I mean, I think that's why Jordan could be so deadly because he's got Matt LaFleur, at the helm here.
And the way they call the red zone too, like when they get inside the 10, Matt's not scared to go 11 personnel and throw the ball, right? So you can see those touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, Tim. That's a tough over under there, Emilio. What would you do there? Would you go over or under on both the yards and the touchdown here?
I think I actually might go a little under on the yards and over on the touchdowns. I think he'd probably be around 35 touchdowns, probably like 4,500 yards. Maybe a couple more completions, just not, just maybe not getting as many yards or something like that. But I think we're still going to lean on the running game. I think Matt we're going to have to set it around that. And I like you were talking about, even looking at the plays we went over last night, even on that RPO, he still ran it twice in the red zone, one outside the 10, I think it was, and didn't make it, and then one inside the 10, and we scored. So I think just honestly, the red zone in general is going to be big this year. I think if we need to turn it back to that gold zone mentality, and we need to convert high conversion percentage on red zone this year.
So
I like gold.
But you said I gotta go. I'm like, just go.
Just go.
Kill the camera and go, bro. Don't be like me. Don't come back from the ending and see the chair spin. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No tarp. There's no tarp out here, Jacob. We can't be having that.
So Tim says over. Emilio says under on the yards, over on the tuds. What do you think, Jacob?
I kind of agree with Emilio. I could see some more like 4,400 yards and more like closer to 40 tuds, like Tim said.
Got it. There you go. All right, good stuff, man. So
I'm not saying they all agree with me, but they mostly agree with me.
Most of them. Some would say.
Well, the most realistic projection that I've seen so far is from Professor Cakes, and it's 100,000 yards, 60 touchdowns, and -10 interceptions. Okay. Some people are saying that's good. I don't know.
How do you hit? I'm trying to figure out just a clever way to say a negative touchdown. How does that work, Amelia?
A negative interception. I don't even know. I think the defense just ran off to the sideline and just handed it to him. Said, "Here,
just take it, sir."
Yeah.
I love it, man. Love it. All right. There was a comment I want to get here to. Mr. Larry earlier said, "Hey, Tim, what's getting built to the east of Ray Nitschke Field? It looked like it's in the parking lot that is right next to the field. Any idea, Tim?"
Yeah, I do. I'm aware. It is a 789 Armed Forces Drive just across the street from the Resch Center there. It's going to be another restaurant entertainment type of venue. They don't sponsor the show, so I won't say their name. But if they want to sponsor the show, maybe we'll shout them out. But yeah, it'll be one of the businesses that is already down there near Ray Nitschke Field is expanding. So that's their new property going in.
Dave and Buster's rolling in there. I see you, Tim.
It doesn't rhyme with Schmovel Schmoffus, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, not that one, Clayton.
Just making sure.
Not my favorite hangout. No, not that one. Yeah.
United Bates says, don't believe Hertz has played yet in the preseason. They play same time as us on Saturday, so we shall see. I didn't realize that they haven't even played them. And that's odd because they did struggle down the stretch, if I remember correctly, last year, right?
Oh, yeah. Did you all see the stat, too, that I don't remember who it was. Some, like, reputable either person or organization tweeted out, like, Jalen Hurts has went 200 or 302 consecutive passes in the off season in training camp without throwing an interception. This has never been done. And then like there was 150 comments. It was like, except for Aaron Rodgers during the regular season when he went blah, 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 whatever his record was. And then finally today I saw it was like the streak is over. Jalen Hurts was intercepted in the joint practice, blah, blah, blah from someone. And I just thought, okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's still impressive if you don't throw any picks, but it's training camp, dude.
I remember DJ talking about it on with Move the Sticks, but he was just kind of asking him like, what do you think about that? And I think we talked about it earlier. I would rather him take some chances. And I mean, even, it doesn't look right, make a mistake here before we get into the actual season where all the mistakes start rolling out then.
Yeah, definitely. Blake B in the chat said, is it Schmanduzzi's?
Yep, there you go. Blake's on top of it.
Not to be confused with it. Was it and what is it called, Tim?
We'll just say it now. Yeah,
just say it.
Anduzzi's bar is expanding.
Anduzzi's. They're an extension of the Oval Office.
No, they're not. They're not, and they're definitely not sponsoring the show now. So it's fine.
Exactly. We don't want them anyway, Tim. What are you talking about? We don't need them. We don't need your dirty money. Email PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com.
Venmo us out.
This is a Stadium View family here. We'll go with Stadium View. Shout out to Stadium View.
Nice. Sponsor the show. Drew D in the chat says Brazil is going to be a home game for us. They already love us because of our colors. We can really solidify the Brazilian fandom if we show out week one. Could you imagine if we go down there for those Brazil fans and just, absolutely light it up? How cool would that be? Especially internationally. LaFleur's got something to prove too after that debacle there across the pond, right? When we went over and played at whatever the stadium was. What was it called?
The Giants? Toppingham Palace or something crappy like
Toppingham Palace.
Oh, hello.
Swing and a miss.
Wasn't it?
Hotspur or something? What was it called?
Oh yeah, something.
Emilio,
like that.
you're a big soccer guy. What's the name of that stadium?
No, I was going to say the Frankfurt one, but that was in Germany. I don't know.
We don't know what this show sucks.
I think Jacob was closer with Toppingham.
They played Stonehenge, I think, or something like that.
Could you imagine a football game breaking out over at Stonehenge? How cool would that?
Hey, right here. I was close. We were both close. Tottenham Hotspur.
We were nowhere near
half of it.
Hello, Governor.
Hello.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, no, Matt definitely needs to show out this year. I mean, he's gonna travel to a younger team than last time, right? That he traveled internationally, so he needs to make sure that they're ready mentally for something like this.
Now, this is technically a road game for us, according to the schedule, but
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's going to have strong vibes of a home game for the Packers. I know we travel well as a fan base. That's undisputed, right? I mean, Packer fans globally travel well, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of locals in Brazil that are diehard Chiefs heads, and they are going to be out in full force. So I fully expect this to kind of have a slight edge as far as the crowd towards the Packers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I do. I think as soon as I seen the schedule and the fact that you got to play the Philadelphia Eagles and it's not over there in Philly, that's a tough place to play. It's that's a big break. I seen fans mad that we were having to travel out of the country, and I'm like, no, that's the game you want to pick, right? That's the game you want to do it with, so you don't have to play in Philly. I think it's
especially the first game of the year too. Just get it over with, bite the bullet, be done.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the travel time isn't that obscene, and we're in the same time zone, I think, or like maybe different
East Coast
change.
time.
Yeah, so like an hour difference. That's cool. I'm cool with that.
That's wild to think that Brazil's on Tennessee time, Emilio.
Right. No,
you think they're down there listening to Charlie Daniels?
Oh, probably.
Some of them, yeah.
All right, let's move along. Speaking of Charlie Daniels, Javon Bullard, this preseason, pretty cool, right?
Charlie Daniels, Javon Bullard,
17 coverage snaps. Jacob, you mentioned this yesterday.
Yes.
17 coverage snaps, 9 passing yards allowed in coverage, 76.7 run defense grade, all coupled together. This was tweeted out by PFF Green Bay Packers. I know the PFF grade didn't look great for Javon Bullard, but when you kind of put things into perspective of how he's played so far in the preseason, granted, he only played a handful of snaps in that game where he graded out bad, right, last week. So that's a pretty good indication that this dude's going to be a well-rounded football player, which is exactly what we've seen when we dove into the college stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest part is when I sent you that highlight reel, I was so jacked because of at the end of it, if you made it through like the 4.5, 5 minutes of him just throwing that meat missile downfield and smoking people, it was the run defense that I was more excited for. I mean, and he looked really good in coverage. He looked really good blitzing, but he was just not afraid to go shoot the gaps, to make really strong tackles. I mean, it was very reminiscent of old school safety play that I just remember growing up and watching them just throwing their bodies and kind of just not caring what happened. And he rarely, obviously it was a highlight reel, but he just looked like it was a sure tackle every time. And that's the one thing I've seen from him. And even the quote unquote bad plays is he's makes a decision, he goes, and he's really good. He's like an alligator. He will wrap you up and roll. So.
All right. Anybody got anything else to add to Javon Bullard here? AFAM says in the chat, Bullard looks real good in green and gold. He does, man.
He does. And so does Evan Williams as well. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about him. It's just so cool to see this rebuilt safety room, and I can't wait for meaningful football to start. And it's going to be exciting, guys.
Do you think Evan Williams or Javon Bullard gets 5 picks this year?
Yes.
Boy, I tell you.
Yes.
Williams has 5 picks in the training camp right now, apparently.
I'm willing to bet one or both of them has a multi-pick game. They may get 2 in one game this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeesh.
When Bucky was talking to Lance, they said for rookie of the year, roughly it takes about 5 picks to get, talked about as a corner or a safety, but a safety hasn't had rookie of the year for a long time. So I was just wondering if we thought that they would have that option or, that ability, I guess.
That would be absolutely awesome, man. Especially with the signing of Xavier McKinney, too. I mean,
right.
Safety is one of those positions I've been screaming about for the last 3. Even before we started podcasting, I was going, man, to me, it's tier 2 of importance. You want that guy that's going to play post safety to be a true difference maker. And then when you get into trying to scheme against specific looks on offense, you got to have that guy that can play in the box. He can play man. He can play spur. He can come down and rob. He can also drop back into quarter coverage. And really the thing that you see with Javon Bullard is he can do all of that. And the thing that really popped to me when we watched the tape, like Jacob was mentioning, was how he plays with leverage. The way he plays the proper the correct half of the player, whether he's making a tackle or meeting a run fit, he's always on the right half of the player. What I mean by that is if it's an outside run, he doesn't get pulled into the inside half of the blocker. He's playing that outside shoulder. When he goes to tackle someone, he knows where his help is. This is college, could be totally different than the pros, but at the college level, he knew if he's the outside defender, he's attacking the outside shoulder of the ball carrier as opposed to getting pulled in and set up where someone can bounce it outside and turn it into an explosive play. I mean, he's really impressive. Really impressive.
Always knows which way to funnel, definitely.
We do have some breaking news, Clayton, if you'd like me to share that with you.
Let's hear it.
Adam Scheffner is reporting, and actually I think I saw somebody mention it here in the chat, but yeah, Knucklehead Paul right here. Says Creed Humphrey, KC center, getting big extension. Per Adam Scheffner, ESPN sources, Chiefs and Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey reached an agreement on a 4-year, $72 million extension, including $50 million guaranteed. Humphrey now becomes the highest paid center in NFL history. Deal negotiated by Ken Sarnoff and the Andy Sims of One of One agency.
That's a lot of money. And, you know, it's something that we've been talking about for some time. And Amelia, I know we've had a lot of conversations about this. Like, I'm seeing center as tier 2 of importance. Like it's only behind left tackle, and the money lines up here, man. Like you said, Jacob, 4 years, $72 million, including $50 million guaranteed. I mean, that's wild.
It's the only other person on the team that touches the ball every play. Like,
yeah,
that has to mean something.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean?
I know this hurts Packer fans because this is the guy that we chose Josh Myers over, right? But I get it. I'm tired of mentioning it. You're tired of hearing it, but you got it. You see it. You got to say it. You. The money. Sometimes
it's either hearing that or we got to hear about Kevin King instead of T.J. Watt years ago, right? Those are the ones we can't let go.
And another one too, wasn't it? Jordan Love, and who was the receiver? T. Higgins.
Oh man, yeah, wasn't it?
Why isn't nobody talking about that anymore?
That's funny. Yeah, funny how we don't hear that anymore.
So again, shout out to Creed Humphrey. Huge contract. Got the bag there. Hey, you want to kick some over our way, man? PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we got room to pay all these receivers, right? So, you know, there's
absolutely
good.
That's the other thing too.
Good reason not to have that big salary at your center position.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, if you said Clayton, would you like Creed Humphrey for that price? I'd say yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't think it's any coincidence that the Kansas City Chiefs are continuing to have success, and they've got arguably the best center in the game now that Jason Kelce's gone. And like we talked about 2 years ago, that Super Bowl matchup, it was Creed Humphrey versus Jason Kelce. And I tried to point that out the whole offseason because it's like it is that important, like Jacob said. Man, these guys, they're in most cases setting the protection. In some cases, the quarterback may not have time to set the protection, and the center can make some adjustments on the fly. When you got that guy that's a brainiac and he's got the physical tools to be a great center right there in the middle from a physical standpoint, man, it's huge. It's absolutely.
He has to be like the captain of the whole line because he can relay a message left or right.
You remember who that kind of epitomized to me was Matt Burke. Remember Matt Burke, the center for Harvard graduate, I believe, or Ivy League school graduate, built like a brick crap house. He actually just ran for Senate, I believe, or Congress or something. So he is so slimmed down now. When you see him, you're like, oh my God, that's Matt Burke. It's crazy how much weight those offensive linemen have to put on to play.
Dude, he was tougher than a $2 steak. That guy was like, that was the dude. He was the get off the bus guy too. He may not look like it, but it's like you go into a bar fight, and that guy's with me right over there. Yeah. Matt, come here, Matt. He was one of those type of players for sure. So he ran for Senate, you said.
It's either, I think it was Congress, actually. I believe he lost, but.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I want to ask you which side he ran for, but we'll just leave it alone. But you said, don't you do it. Don't you, Jacob. I've told you.
I got allergies, Clayton.
It's all right. All right. Another one, too. Now, listen, Kitano Ladapo getting a late start here, right, with the toe injury. Kitano Ladapo is playing fearlessly is what the Green Bay Packers said. A couple quotes here. I think you had mentioned this one too, Jacob. Tim, I want to get your take. I don't know if you were able to see anything with Oladapo at practice, but Some of the quotes here, it says, I think he's still trying to get his legs underneath him, but I'm excited about the player. He's shown consistent growth every time we go out and practice, both on defense and on teams. Coach LaFleur said on Caetano Ladapo. That's exciting because you got a little bit of depth now. You got Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard. Behind Bullard, you got Evan Williams. Behind Xavier McKinney, you got Anthony Johnson Jr. And Caetano Ladapo can really focus on teams and then work himself, get caught up on the playbook, all that stuff that we talked about. Tim, how's he looked at practice? Have you noticed anything there?
Trying to catch up, because that's so true. He's a little bit behind the 8 ball compared to a lot of the other guys. You could say that about Edrin Cooper as well. Guys started their camp kind of slow, but they're picking up the pace each and every day. And I fully expect to get a heavy dose of KT here on Saturday in this game, just to try and, maybe make up for lost time, man. Overload him with some reps, not just on teams. Let's get him out there. See him in coverage a little bit. Looking at what Coach just said here, still trying to get his legs underneath him. Well, no better way to do that than throw him in the fire in a preseason game. Just get out there and get some reps in before we go into the year, because I truly do believe he will provide depth in that safety room down the stretch of a grueling 17-game season, as you're trying to make that playoff push and guys are banged up. You're going to have guys that are going to miss a game here or there. Guys like KT Oladapo, Evan Williams, Kalen King, that can step in there and be effective in that secondary. That's what's going to help get us over the hump. So I think these guys that have started camp either slow or, nagging injuries, they're starting to catch up. They really are. Jordan Morgan would be another one to mention, who's kind of coming along slowly but surely here as well on the offensive side of the ball. So a lot to be excited about with these guys.
Yeah, Emilio, something to think about here too. Like if for some reason Keyshawn Nixon gets a little banged up, right? Then you have to pull Bullard to the slot. If that is the play, Evan Williams goes to strong safety. All of a sudden, Caetano Ladapo's one snap away from getting in the game, right?
Yep.
So
next man up has to be. And I mean, and if he shows out, he's going to be playing on teams, right? We're going to want that speed. When I saw 27, flashbacks of Patrick Taylor, man, but I was ready. I'm ready to see what Oladapo can do and make a name for himself there. So I am excited, like Tim said. Hope he gets out a lot in this game. And yeah, I would even be fine with maybe he's a different maybe he's a better matchup when we're playing against the Cardinals. You know what I mean? Versus their slot receiver or something like that. Played against them 3 times in college. Something crazy down the line. That I could see that happening.
I would anticipate he takes a similar path like Anthony Johnson took last year. Kind of came in, needed to start in a pinch, played some football for us in his rookie year, and kind of progressed nicely and is kind of finding a role in this team. I think Oladapo is going to kind of just keep progressively growing and inserting himself into that lineup.
Yeah, definitely. And Jake Shabink in the chat said Oladapo shouldn't come off the field Saturday. Get him in multiple spots. You could get him playing free. You can get him playing strong. You could maybe, if you want to try a little big nickel, throw him in the slot. He did have some slot snaps, if I remember correctly, too, in college. So.
Oh, dude, he was one of those that was very evenly mixed. That's what was so awesome about him.
Yeah, definitely.
Keyshawn's the nickel. Get over it.
Yeah.
I'll get over it when you earn it, bub. All right, moving on to practice here. Yeah, Omer says that room is stacked, man. I'm telling you, safety room is just awesome. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, question to Jair Alexander about Lamar Jackson. Quote, what do you think of his more slimmed down figure? Jair, quote, I'm not really into looking at other guys' figures.
Giggity.
Watch him get canceled for that, too.
Hey, I went to the comments and I was ready to go to bat for my boy Jair. Let somebody say something. I'm over it. I'm over this whole cancel crap.
Yeah, screw it.
It is what it is. But I thought that was cool. Jair seems like he's in a good place, right? Mm-hmm. And that, along with no fights, pretty cool. Ryan Wood tweeted out no fights at joint practice between the Packers and the Ravens. John Harbaugh, the head coach for the Ravens, said it allowed for quality reps on both sides. Quote, these two teams had the right mindset going in, and therefore we got good work in. End of quote. That's what the practices are all about, right? Now, if the Packers had lost the practice, Jacob, I'd be going, throw a punch or two. Like, we can't go out like this. It's just how yeah. All right, so let's get to the story. One of the stories of the day for me. Evan Williams picks off Josh Johnson over the middle to win the 2-minute for the backups. Rookie safety has 5 interceptions in camp. Packers flood the field and celebrate. That was per Matt Schneidman. That last part, that last sentence right there, fires me the heck up. see Evan Williams kind of being a spark plug for this defense. And we've actually got a quick soundbite from him. I want to get your all's take on how we're feeling about Evan Williams to this point. It was Matt Schneidman that actually tweeted out this video of him at his locker. I just love his whole demeanor, man. He seems like he's got some of that innocence to him. Like when you're that young as a player, you don't know how good you are or could be. And he's just going out there and making plays. He just got a good spirit about him. Here was, like I said, this was via Matt Schneidman on Twitter earlier today. Here was Evan Williams at his locker.
Yeah, I definitely feel pretty good. Pretty confident about my play. I definitely try to just block out all noise. You know, it's you'll hear good noise, you'll hear bad noise. You know, just as much, and it's all great. You know, in the moment to be feeling like the man, but it doesn't mean much if you can't continue it, if you can't do it the next day. And so yeah, I've just been really just trying to get a little better every day. Just try to keep that mode of consistency all the way through camp. And yeah, I feel good about my body of work up to this point, but at the same time, you always got to keep taking steps. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So, yeah, I feel good about it, but understanding that there's definitely different levels I could tap into and just got to.
God, this dude's mature beyond his years, man.
Cooler than a polar bear's toenails. That dude is cool, calm, collective. You can tell, like you said, Clayton, that youthful exuberance. It's almost like this kid doesn't even know how, like, the sky is the limit, high ceiling, right? But in the same sense, he conducts himself on that football field like a 10-year veteran. Like you don't really see him making these classic rookie mistakes, like, hey, Rook, get over here, you're lined up wrong, or hey, your footing's wrong, or hey, like. Not that they're not working on things in his game, but what I'm saying is he looks like a poised veteran out there for a rookie, which is exciting to see. And he's not the only one in this draft class that looks like that. So I'm fired up for this defense.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Again, I think he's going to be one of those guys that emerges as a leader. I think he's going to push Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard's going to push him. I think it's a great thing. You throw Oladapo into the mix like we just talked about. It's just a really, really good spot to be in. Ron Stanville in the chat says it can't be overstated that Goot traded up for Williams and no one understood why. Absolutely, man. There was no one talking about Evan Williams before. There's no doubt about it, man. It's just unbelievable. Oladapo. Javon Bullard was the number 2 safety on my board. Then it was Oladapo at 3. Evan Williams was way down the list. Swung and missed on that one for sure. I did. Let's see. Jake Shavik said they were probably very impressed with him after the combine meeting.
Yeah.
That's where those interviews. Could you imagine if that's the way he was during the interview? I guarantee you, Emilio, that dude, he won over Goot immediately.
That explains why it kind of caught us off guard, right? Because we weren't in the combine interviews. They were.
You can tell a lot by the way he carries himself and speaks, right? And if that attitude carries over to the football field and this work ethic, it's over, man. You got a gem.
Absolutely, man. All right, so Jacob, you got anything else to add into Evan Williams here, man? Anything at all you want to hit on there before we move on?
Well, just real quick, Bates wants us to know that he cannot wait to see him take one to the house, which I agree with. Coach Len says give Evan Williams the green dot. That's some high praise right there. And Shavink wants to let us know no one saw Evan Williams coming. He's saying that I think Shavink had some.
Jake, where did you have him on your board, man? Ranked in the safeties. I'm eager to know.
I do remember him. The
point was he was on Jacob's board.
He had him on the radar.
He was on Jake's board.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too is that I thought of him when I watched his film. I didn't sit there and watch film. I watched basically the highlights, like a cheap, whatever. Just because I feel like there is something to be gained from watching highlights, because you can see. If it's worth
nothing but
diving,
only the best.
Well, no, but diving deeper, like look at the attributes. Is this guy's a physical freak, or is he just in the right position at the right time to make a certain play? You know what I mean? Like the highlight consists of a quarterback rolling out to while he is already standing there and walks into his open arms kind of thing. Or is it somebody that's, doing stuff like we saw Javon Bullard doing, where he's dodging and shedding blocks before he makes like a shoestring tackle, diving, you know what I mean, kind of stuff. With Evan Williams, he looked really good at blitzing, like crazy good at blitzing. And it almost looked like that's only what he did because of the fact I watched a highlight reel. So I didn't give him the proper diagnosis to see what he actually did in coverage. And I think I don't want to speak for Clayton, but I know for a fact that I'm more surprised about how well he has been in the coverage game compared to where I thought he'd be a run thumper. I thought he'd be an absolute dynamic human meat missile off the whatever we want to blitz him from. but I had no idea that he would adapt to the NFL so fast in the coverage aspect. Is that fair to say, Clayton?
Yeah, that was the big thing that stood out to me, was that's where it was lacking. There was when you turn on any highlight reel, any kind of tape you had on Evan Williams, you didn't see any like, man, that dude's a lockdown safety. Like, he can cover the seam. He can do this, he can do that. Now they say that the year before, was he at Fresno? Am I thinking right? He was somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Fresno, then Oregon, I thought, right?
Yeah, Oregon State.
Yeah, so the year
was Oregon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the year before, they said his tape was phenomenal. I didn't watch that tape. I just watched the Oregon tape. Strip, talking about a fumble causing machine. You're already seeing it in the preseason. The only question mark I had was pass coverage, and now he's checked that box. He was the 16th safety on my board, 16th. So I had him way down the list. Again, Jake, I'd like to know where you had him on your board. That'd be awesome to know, because I definitely didn't see it coming. I'll be the first to admit that for sure. All right, let's see what else we had here. One more thing. Let's wrap it up with the 2-minute drills. All right. Matt Schneidman said, we just watched 6 2-minute drills. Packers offense, the starters, led to a Carlson 35-yarder to tie the game. All right. Packers offense number 2s, the backups, led to a Joseph 51-yard field goal to tie the game. The Packers offense number 3s led to a Carlson 51-yard field goal to tie the game.
A what?
Tim, we've been trying to tell you, pump the brakes on all this stuff. All right,
we got to give Tim some oxygen, because I'm telling you, man, these victory laps he's going to be running. My man's going to be out.
Wait till you see his extra point totals for camp.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. All right, so Packers defense ones, starters. Tucker missed a 62-yarder to tie. 62-yarder is a tough one, even for arguably the best kicker in the game. But the fact that they did not allow the ones to get that closer for a field goal is pretty freaking awesome. The Packers defense 2s, the backups, Evan Williams interception to end it. All right. And then the Packers D, the number 3s, forced the turnover on downs. Absolutely dominated the 2-minute drill. Pretty darn cool. Your all's take on that. We'll get ready to wrap this thing up with the 52-minute mark, boys.
It's crazy. Yeah, the fans were calling. They said, Blake B said, and this was pretty early in the episode, he says, when are we going to get to today's kicker discussion? Big trade today with Cade York. Hey, give the people what they want, and they want kicker talk. All right.
How dare you?
What's your thought, Jacob? Is Carlson still on this team or what?
I think that it's at the point now where it's definitely Carlson. I think the move they did with Hale, I was really honestly surprised about that. It goes to show that there had to be a lot of coach talk is still prevalent, because they said nothing but Kenneth Odumegwu was like, they talked about him like they were his little child, and they were like, and then they were like, throw him to the curb. Let's sign another kicker. The worst part is like the international. He's from Australia. Go back to Nigeria, Kenneth. Okay, that felt weird. I
think that's why, though. It's because of that international program, right? They saw an opportunity here to keep that protected roster spot on that practice squad. They can stash this kicker as a contingency plan without affecting the general roster.
Right.
Yeah. So
that kind of feel like
that was a business decision, and I'm sure Kenneth Odumegwu will end up somewhere with another team. Yeah.
It felt like that kind of not tax fraud, but tax evasion, where you just file it under something maybe that was
like, calm down here, sir.
I'm just saying.
Packer Fan Total Access does not condone or endorse any of the following statements made.
I'm a business owner over here like, Jacob, what do we do?
I'm just saying.
Not that they listen, but
comparing somebody.
I always pay my taxes.
You heard it from a fan right here.
Go ahead, Jacob. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
I've dug far enough. I'm good.
Get the feds on us here real quick. Go ahead.
I'm good.
All right. Anything else, boys?
Happy with the offense. Happy that Carlson got a chance to drill some, and I'm happy with the defense that, like you said, held them to the 45. So that's it's good to see. Then a pick, and then the Storm. After they stormed the field, they come back out. They were all hyped up, and then we forced a turnover on down. So sign me up.
I love it.
Get you happy with hype.
Larry Cano says Jacob's going to get audited now. So there you go. That's how that works, Jacob. I'm just telling you, man. I'm telling you right now. And you can't no, you can't do that, Ron. Ron says Emilio claims cannoli expenses on his tax return.
That's true.
Carly Ray said, "Hey, I'll jump into the water here." She says, "Play in the system." Like Clayton says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. God almighty. How all of us found each other is hilarious because we are cut from the same cloth. All right, so update on the schedule here real quick. The joint practice obviously today. So tomorrow, nothing's open to the public. I'd say they'll probably do some kind of walkthrough. What do you think, Tim?
I would think so, or at least film, maybe physical therapy, that kind of stuff. I'm sure they'll be at the facility. And I'm sure the Ravens too. I think they share use of the facility this whole process. So I'm sure those guys will be getting workouts in and stuff too before Saturday's game. But I would think Friday would be a light day going into a game day.
That's what I'm thinking too. So obviously kickoff will be Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Time. So it's going to be like a 1 o'clock game for us down here in Mayo. It's going to be awesome. We will be probably won't do a morning show, but instead we will do a pregame show. All right. For an hour before kickoff, we'll do a pregame, take you up to kickoff. Then I'm pretty sure Ryan Schlip over on Packernet's channel will be doing a live stream during the game. Sweet. If for some reason he's not, and I find that out, we will do one. But if he is doing one, he's going to roll with that. And then as soon as the game's over, hop back over here and we'll do a post-game show. So it's going to be I love how we're getting in the groove, guys. I don't know if you noticed, but we're like, all right, we're firing on all cylinders. This is exactly how we're going to format the regular season. It's preseason for everyone. Emilio, I was just thinking, dude, we're what, about 3 weeks away from being in Nashville watching them play the Titans, right?
That's
4
great.
weeks away, something like that.
I know. I need to make sure I plan that out. Make sure we get a couple days off afterwards because I don't know how well we're going to be feeling after that game.
Oh, I wish I could make it down for that, you guys.
Just know this, Emilio. We've got a wedding that one of our businesses is catering, so we're going to be probably rolling into town Sunday. If you need a place to crash, though, Mandy's sister and her husband have a place in Chattanooga, and that's a little bit closer than Knoxville, I believe. I could be wrong.
Right.
But if you want a place to crash down Chattanooga, and Dave can cook, Dave can hook it up, man. That man, you just let them know 24 hours in advance. You'll have you a 5-star meal on the table the night before the game. I'm gonna be rolling in, kind of sliding in sideways into the parking lot right around kickoff, probably. So, but that's the way that'll work out. So again, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. As it sits right now, we will be doing a show tomorrow. No Friday Night Lights for me tomorrow night. So show tomorrow night, and then obviously pre-game show Saturday, post-game show Saturday, and then, of course, we got cuts coming up the following Tuesday on the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Here, baby, we made it. So anything else, guys? Anything at all?
Nope. Go Pack, go.
I have just
Here we go.
Just a couple I wanted to share.
Sit your butt outside.
Just real quick, a few next-gen stats that I thought were really cool that I was looking into when I got bored. The 15th fastest clock time of anybody in the NFL of anybody last year was Jaden Reed with a 21.52 miles per hour, 32-yard touchdown run in week 11. I just thought that was really, really cool. Josh Jacobs last year was either 8th or 10th in remarkable rushes. And remarkable rush is runs over the expected, basically, result. In week 12, he ran 63 yards on an expected run that was supposed to only go for 5 yards. That's plus 58 extra yards on one play. Number one, for reference, was McCaffrey at 69 yards over the expected 5.
Yeah, there we go.
Love had the 17th shortest time to throw at 2.77 seconds in the pocket. The shortest time was Tua at 2.36. The longest was Justin Fields at 3.23. So I thought that was a happy medium there. And this one really surprised me. Wicks was tied for third with Jerry Jeudy for having the defenders give him the most cushion per play by a cornerback at 7.2 yards.
You heard it from a fan right here.
That's what I'm talking about, Jacob.
But do you have Anders Carlson's extra points on it?
He said you got Anders Carlson's his exit velocity off of his foot. That's what we need.
It says here, Tim, you're fired.
We're out, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, unless something changes. If something does change and we don't do a show, we'll blame Jacob. That's the way that works. Okay.
Nice.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.